A nice and easy win for the 76ers to close out their 6-game trip with a 4-2 road trip here. And yeah, it's a little deceiving, but they got the win and it's 4-2 and they pick up their 14th win of the campaign. Easy does it for this one tonight, this evening, whatever you want to call it, since it was an early start. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Derek Bodner, Kyle Newbeck, Devon Givens, Bree with you with us. And I was so glad to be with you on this Saturday. Nice and easy, no sweat.
Love those.
Get the work done, no fourth quarter work. Let's get it done. And as Jay says in the chat, damn, I needed that win. Those last two were so frustrating. And Derek, as you said, it was the 48 minutes against the Warriors and then the final 4 of the Sacramento Kings. So it extends to 52 minutes of just 4.5 quarters or however you want to put it. And it was very frustrating. But despite the fact that they got off and put themselves in an 11-0 hole.
I was going to say, and then you could extend that to the first 2 minutes of this game. Yeah,
but they figured it out quickly.
I let out an audible, oh brother, when Zaire Williams hit that. What was it? His second three of the first few minutes.
Yep. Paul George, Caleb Martin, and then Joel Embiid getting them right back into it. They close out the first quarter on basically, I think it was a 29-8. Yeah, 29-8 overall. To close out the quarter to take a 29-19 lead into the second quarter. And Derek, they never looked back. It was very easy.
No, it really, and those first 2 minutes, you've got to be, I cannot believe we're about to have the exact same show that we just had. Thank goodness they turned that around real quickly. I mean, they matched the 11-0 run with, I think it was 13-2 and tied it up at 13 apiece. And then they just went on from there. And Joel Embiid was incredible. I think he had 15 there in that first quarter. He and Caleb Martin, who almost was the player of the game. We'll get to that. A little bit of controversy here in the studio. That's fine.
Oh, boy.
He added their 17 on 7 shots in the first half, and they were off and running. And, I sort of said before the game, I didn't sort of say, well, I don't know why I hedged it. I said before the game that this isn't really a game that you could evaluate based off of. You're not going to really and obviously we're going to sit here for the next hour and evaluate it, but you can't really take any long-term projection based off of this, especially given who the Nets were playing without, and that got worse midway through the game when D'Angelo Russell played just 14 minutes and didn't return. But you had to take care of business. This was a results game, not so much a process game. The process didn't mean too much, but they needed this win in a big, big way. And Devon mentioned it, a 4-2 road trip. It was a little bit frustrating at times the way we got there, but they are still trending in the right direction. They are climbing up the Eastern Conference standings. And as we mentioned before the show, you have a little bit of a soft part of the schedule here, and then it gets real hard midway through January. They need to take care of the business. This was step one in doing that, and they did so easily. This was a old school load management night. They came out, built a big lead in the first half. I think it was 17 going into halftime. Came out really aggressive there in the third with some good defense, and the fourth quarter was garbage time. Some Adam bonus time mixed in there as well. It was everything.
Every time we say Adam Bonus, I'm worried there'll be a new person in here. It's like, that's not his name. It's like,
we don't even know his name.
We know, I promise you. Just watch.
It really is a tough part, because on the one hand, you want to lean into it. A bit's only good if you lean into it and do it consistently, but you get worried because you can't explain a bit every time. You get worried that somebody's going to take it seriously, but if you take it seriously, it's not my fault. You should have been listening earlier in the season. No, I mean, this is, like I said, there's no victory tours over beating the Brooklyn Nets without Cam Thomas.
Without John, 8 guys,
But
and D'Angelo Russell sits
at
early.
the very least, if you're going to play this Brooklyn Nets team, doing it without any stress and where you can limit Joel Embiid's minutes to 29, perfect.
It is a win that is good for the soul on many levels, right? And as Derek brought up, early in the game was pretty pissed off because they go down 11-0. And I had a specific interaction with a guy on Blue Sky who I posted about our pregame, we're going to discuss the game. Should be an easy win for the Sixers. And he goes, why would you say this? And I said, because my words have no impact on the result. So, of course, these guys get off to a train wreck of a start in the first few minutes. But they got their act together. And I think, so you guys were actually in here as the game finally concluded because the final, 50 seconds or whatever took forever. And it was most garbage at the garbage time. But Caleb Martin, who we'll talk in detail about later, was getting interviewed after the game, did the post-game interview. And once again, after he had a post-game moment in Boston, as he's getting interviewed, you can see there's a lot of guys coming into the shot and in the background, really excited. And a role player like Caleb, who's had a tough season, who had to miss time after, trying to struggle through injuries and issues for a while, couldn't get the shot to fall. Having a couple games like this in the last week and blowing teams out like this where guys are whooping and hollering on the sideline. Yabu has that dunk and they're all beating their chests and they're like a bunch of them are celebrating in that way. Like, these games don't mean anything really in terms of the playoff picture and the standings. And as Derek says, what we're taking from it, what we're analyzing, how we're projecting it forward. But in terms of creating the culture, in terms of setting the tone for keeping the team together and allowing these guys to build some meaningful bonds, which will show up on the floor, which will show up in some meaningful ways. These are good wins to get, right? You're coming off of a real heartbreak loss on Wednesday and then just a beatdown in Golden State. This one will make you feel good about yourselves, right? You don't have to throw a parade. No one's celebrating beyond hey, that was a fun game and we got the win, but it's a good restoration of the soul that they badly needed. And it's their third game in 4 nights, which those can be not too fun to play. So to see them having some good times and celebrating a guy like Caleb, that's some stuff that I think is meaningful.
And Caleb, real quick, Caleb went 2 for 3 from 3-point range. Tonight, he is now 16 of 27 over his last 7 games. And it's been really consistent, too.
So I wanted to ask you guys, as you were saying that, and then Derek adds on to that first, talking about the fact that they got the win because of what we highlighted in the pregame show, which is that final game can always be tricky for a team wanting to get back home after such a long trip. Yeah. Starting this trip, remember, folks, while it started on Christmas and they came back home before heading out west to go to Utah, they were still on the road, and they were on the road celebrating Christmas and coming back home, but then they had to get right back on the plane for a long trip beginning in Utah and finally finishing here in Brooklyn. But for them to, again, get off to that slow start but rebound quickly, quite frankly, they should have because of what the Nets had on the floor. But they did it. And if they didn't, we'd be talking about how didn't they? Why was this so close at the end? But then you go to the Caleb Martin piece that you both highlighted. I wanted to ask you, as you were saying it, Kyle, do you see anything different within his form, with his shooting? Because he was always taking them for whatever reason right now. And as Derek, you talked about the numbers over the course of those games, they're falling. So maybe he's starting to feel a little bit better about whatever it looks like, whatever he is shooting at that point. That's his shot right now, and it's going in.
So it's weird, right? Because I think the good shots, the shots he's making now, or most of his 3-point attempts now, are the good shots from early in the season where it's oh, that looks better. They still look bad because his form is bad, but he has cut down on the hitchiest, on the worst looking shots from 3. No one's going to sit here at this desk and be oh, that shot's looking pretty, right?
It's not like it used to look.
I think it's at least it looks fairly similar every time he's releasing it, where early in the year, we're talking about a guy who's he's looking down at his feet when he's shooting, both to see where the line is and to get himself set. And he's releasing the ball at different points in the jump. And sometimes it's on the way down. Sometimes it's before he even reaches the peak of the jump. Right now, I think it's at least consistent. That doesn't make it good. That doesn't mean I believe in it as a repeatable, successful jumper. But as you say fairly often, Devon, if he's comfortable with it and he's making shots, then that's ultimately what matters. And I think when he gets a single shot to go down early, you see that translate into so many other things, right? He gets more aggressive and adventurous as a slasher, sometimes to his and the team's detriment, right? But I like seeing him play with that edge rather than what we don't want, what we've spoken out about for the entirety of the show, since the show has existed, is no record scratch moments, right? Take the 3, drive, play strong and wrong if you have to, make a decision. And I think you're seeing more of that from him recently. And that's all you can ask for from him, because I think Caleb, outside of the shot, is going to give you fairly consistent either production or play, right? Like he is going to defend and switch. He's a decent, not great, decent secondary playmaker who can, set up some guys. He's a good cutter. He's a smart basketball player who is finally leveraging that intelligence on the floor. And that he just looks like the guy. Certainly scoring 17 points and a half is not the guy we thought we were getting around here when they signed him in the summer. But I'd say broadly what we've seen the last couple of weeks is the Caleb Martin that we were hoping for, where, yeah, he's going to have some hot shooting nights, but it's everything else he does playing off of those and adding to that I think is also noteworthy.
Yeah. He certainly still has some weird leg kicking going on in his motion. The release, I do agree, has been more consistent. Like he had shots in the past where it just looked like he was pushing through quicksand at the top of that motion that led to some timing issues. That seems like that is mostly gone. It's still a line drive, like I said. Although it was a line drive in Miami, not as much as it was to start as it was to start the year this year. But he's never had the purest stroke in the world. But like I said, I think the lower body motion is still a little weird. The upper body motion seems like it's getting better. And certainly the results have been 100 times better.
As I like to call it, since you guys were at the arena, Rich and Bree and I are back here, I call it the Elaine dancing kick on the bottom going on with Caleb Martin. Yeah, and when you know the dance, you know what the foot does in the Elaine Bennis dance from Seinfeld.
I didn't want to kick the table or knee the table as I'm trying to do it.
But
there's been a Seinfeld marathon on this past week, by the way. It's been on in my house quite a bit.
You got
dating ourselves up here. Some of these kids in here
you got to call me on
what the hell, Seinfeld?
I wonder what percentage of the people in chat right now were even alive when that finale aired.
Yeah.
Great question.
Getting to be a long time
That's
now.
a long time ago. The runway that they've had after the fact is amazing for it to still be as relevant as it is. And just to add on to what the guys are saying about Caleb Martin and his shooting, I mean, look, it's just good. And again, when a guy has it going, he has it going. He had one in the first half when he went baseline. And he almost seemed like he was behind the backboard when he hit that shot and it went in. I think that was his 15th point because he turned to the bench. He was laughing. They're all going crazy. Everybody was just feeling good about everything that was happening since the turnaround occurred for the Sixers. That is the type of stuff that happens when you're shooting the ball as well as he was. They were passing the ball well. At one point, they had like 20-something assists on the 30+ made baskets, and it was just great as I'm looking at Derek's screen showing me the Elaine Bennis dance and the Caleb Martin kick that we can call it now. But yeah, just for him to have that going, this too, Kyle, is when he's playing like this. Yabusele, the numbers weren't there though, but the game itself, and we'll get to the play that he made earlier, that was fantastic. We'll talk about that in one of our segments a little bit later, but it didn't matter, again, the point total of Yabusele. It was just seeing him in the lineup with them, and particularly Joel Embiid. But when you have him playing as well as he has been, still impacting the game with just 2 points at one. I think it was, what did he finish with? He finished with 3 points. So still impacting the game with 3 points that he played 25+ minutes. And then you have, before the injury for Kelly Oubre, as well as he was playing. Paul George doing what he's doing. He's stamped again into that starting lineup.
Before KJ Martin got hurt.
Before
KJ Martin was starting and he was playing well.
And now you have Caleb Martin starting to, since he's been back from that few games off, maybe it was just to get the rest for the shoulder to give him a little bit of a break. But when you have all of them playing that way, that is the problem that they wanted to have when they put this roster together. So it's a good thing, no matter who's. You don't right now. Look, quite honestly, we haven't seen everybody together for anybody to complain about lack of minutes. Mm-hmm. But if they do get them back, and we talked about the 5 total back-to-backs, we'll see what Embiid does in the home games when they have back-to-backs and see how they split them up. But if everybody's available, again, this is what they wanted to see. And when you see it this way, without minus KJ Martin and Kelly Oubre, this is how you want to see it. Forget about the opponent because we've talked about it. They need every win. So putting this together, seeing the things that we saw from Martin and Yabusele with Embiid again out there doing what he's doing, this is how you want to see this basketball team play. It may not be a 20+ win every time, but if you play like this against a much better opponent and still just get the W, That's what the Sixer fans want to be talking about instead of those losses like we saw against the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah. And look, again, Nets, hospital qualifiers, all that. Just was way more of a complete performance than they've had in a couple games.
Yeah.
Their ball was moving better than it did at various points. The defensive intensity was there. They were communicating. It was just a real good team effort led by your stars, but with everyone else playing a role, including Justin Edwards, who we will get to. But boy, that was a nice surprise here because we're going to need some things to talk about, and that was perfect. But I think everyone, for the most part, came in and played their role. Even Kyle Lowry had moments off the bench, ended up playing a lot because it was a blowout in the second half. But for the most part, I feel like everyone who got in the game found a way to contribute. Sure. And that's sort of like when you were looking at this team on paper, you'd be like, all right, well, you've got your big three, and then you've got, Kelly to sort of like defend. You hope that Caleb's going to make shots, and Gershon we'll see, but theoretically, he's a big guy who can help you out with reboundings and make smart decisions. And I think we basically saw that tonight.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I kept saying throughout the offseason, and there was a huge point of emphasis from us, was you want to have so many guys that are playing well that they're all pushing each other to like, hey, Caleb's playing like this. Kelly's playing like this. Now Gershon's playing like this. KJ's playing like this. And there are only so many minutes and so many spots on the floor. And so every time somebody hits the floor, you're getting 110% effort. You're getting every loose ball somebody's going after. You're in the passing lanes. Your mind is on, hey, what was in the scouting report on this team? How do I execute our scheme and our coverages and what we're playing? And so getting Caleb playing at a higher level when they, as you guys have said, Kelly has stepped his game up in a huge way. Gershon has played some of the most consistent minutes on the team all season. KJ, who we just viewed as a trade chip and a trade contract coming into the year, has had people question like, well, are they going to hold on to him? Because he was playing that well and was filling a niche within the team that needed to be filled. And so this is more what we were expecting, right? Is just to have enough guys that are real rotation players, that you have an actual team and not just, we have 3 stars and a bunch of guys that we just can't figure things out with. I wrote exactly in the recap, like a month and a half ago, we were sitting here saying, they don't have enough good players. Like these guys just don't make sense, or they're not good enough, and it's for any number of reasons, but they just aren't good enough. And now it's, hey, they have real options if they want to tinker with the starting lineup, if they want to put different combinations out there. When they're fully healthy, they do have options, and that's a powerful thing to have. Certainly
on the wings and in the front court, they have options. I'm still not anywhere near happy with the backcourt options, but
Tyrese Maxey, I hope you're happy playing 40-plus minutes the rest of the year, buddy.
The starting 5 tonight, at some point, each of them have individually played well together. Then you go to the 2s in particular that are still out because of injury, and KJ Martin, Kelly Oubre, the same thing. That's 7 right there, hands down for sure. You add Andre Drummond to that. Then you go to the 9, 10, and that's probably a guard maybe that you guys are talking about that may not even be here at this point. And certainly Jared McCain was a part of that before the injury took place, where he was in that 9 easily for the 76ers. So we'll see what it all looks like. Again, each of them individually have played well at some point. Collectively, they have not. No. We've seen some of that together, not enough, which is why they are at the record they are currently at. But starting to get these players back from injury, some consistent run from Joel Embiid with them, wins to start to pile up for this basketball team. So, again, a 3-game homestand coming up beginning on Monday with the Phoenix Suns. They hit the road. It's a tough schedule overall, but they should be able to pick up some W's and have some of their players on the floor. We'll see what Kelly Oubre is with that hand injury when he's able to potentially come back and still contribute and still play the way that he was. And certainly KJ Martin with the foot, see where he is, get those updates as they come back to Philadelphia and get some practice time in and be back at home as well. When we come back, we got to talk about the player of the game. We were going to talk about the player of the game, but it went in another direction. And look, Caleb Martin was fantastic. So was the player of the game. We'll tell you who that was. You probably know already, but we'll do that when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. And our presenting sponsors, we start things off, Bet365. Folks, I told you. Come on, we're racking them up. We're racking them up. Put them up. Got to rack them up, and they did it again. Tyrese Maxey over 5.5 assists. He wasn't scoring early, but he was assisting the basketball. He finished with 7 tonight, which was a team best. And then the other part of it was, once again, just, we got to hit on it. Caleb Martin, very early in the first quarter, 1.5 combined blocks and steals. Kyle looked at me and tapped me on the arm and said, there you go. Very early. So, folks, again, we're rolling pretty good right now with the Bet365 picks and our pregame segment. Make sure you check in with us. And if you haven't signed up already, please do. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 using the code PHLY365 to sign up. Here's what you have to do. Deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. And those bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. And while we are doing a basketball show, sure, we do those for the pregame picks, but you can also do that tomorrow if you sign up today for the NFL action that's taking place tomorrow. Final games of the regular season in the NFL is week 18. So you can jump right in there and get to it with your bonus bets of $150. Now, with the basketball, you could have taken advantage if you signed up earlier with an early payout offer. Team goes up by 20 points, you win an instant payout, and the Sixers were up by 20 points very early, and they got that done pretty quickly. As far as the football goes, the NFL Sundays, look, this is what you have to do. Play some qualifying parlay bets totaling $20 or more on Sunday's NFL games, and you get up to $25 in other bonus bets. Terms and conditions certainly apply. So sign up right now, download the Bet365 app, use code PHLY365 when you do, and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And hey, if you're swimming in money, your gambling Gibbons parlays,
you should be.
I got a great discount and a great way to use your money, and that's with our good friends at Shady Rays. At Shady Rays, we want to get you ready for the season ahead with quality shades that are built to last. Shady Rays has hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. And I know what you're thinking, right? Sunglasses are normally something that you think of when it's the summertime. Longer days, lots of sun. I'm going to be at the beach. We have a big-time snowstorm, I think, coming our way, man. Sunday night into Monday. We're going to be dealing with the snow. When it snows, you guys all know this, who are East Coasters who deal with it, that light coming off of the snow
yes,
is brighter than the summertime. So you need that protection for your eyes because it's already dangerous enough out on those roads and the snow and the ice. So you need to protect your eyes, and Shady Rays has got your back. I wore mine all last winter. No car accidents, knock on wood, because we got a big day coming this coming Monday and this coming week. But you can wear your Shady Rays all season long in all sorts of situations. And if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear, every pair backed by lost or broken replacements. And if you don't love your shades, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. No risk shopping with Shady Rays. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Make sure you go out there also and get those Shady Rays. And Boots says, wearing my Shady Rays right now while driving at night. Well, I don't know if we recommend that, but, be careful there, Boots. Wearing your Shady Rays at night. We also always appreciate the shout out for Shady Rays. All right, let's get to the player of the game. Gene Ross said it was him. What up, Gene? It was you. But we have another one that's the player of the game tonight. He just had a game high, 28 points, got to the free throw line 10 times, knocked down all 10 of those, 12 boards, 6 assists, and did not have to play in the fourth quarter because this was a rout. Joel Embiid, 28 minutes, 58 seconds, and our player of the game tonight. Derek.
There was some debate.
We had a little bit of a debate.
A little bit of a debate.
And we talked about the debate.
I don't know how
I
won. It was 2v1, and I still won.
You weren't wrong. We were just, 82 games, and you said, how many times is Caleb Martin going to win the player of the game? Let's give it to him for his first half and his game overall. But You were right.
Well, so here's the way I'd phrase it. Joel was the best player.
Yes.
Caleb Martin was the surprise player who got you back on track. Every now and then, look, do you want to vote the best player? Do you want to vote the surprise player who's only going to do that a couple times a year? We can debate that. We did.
Joel won.
Joel was the best player.
Yeah,
so it probably makes sense. But, it gets boring just being like, because Joel's going to get half of these that he plays in.
No question.
It just gets boring. Joel was best player today, so let's give it to him. I get it.
No question. But Ron said, as I pointed out, the not having to play any minutes in the fourth quarter, old-fashioned load management like we like to see. We saw it for a bunch of games December of 2023 going into the 2024 calendar season as part of last year's season. Derek, he was really good. Once they got it going, he was just Joel doing what Joel does.
They got him angry. He was like Bruce Banner.
That technical that he picked up, and he did not like it. I looked to the guys in Bree and said, yeah, he'll probably get double digits in this quarter now. And he did. He was fantastic.
No, and look, he's so much bigger than anyone on the Nets. And it seemed like halfway through the first quarter, he realized it, and then they had no chance.
And look, sometimes Nick Claxton makes him work, exert some effort there to get his points and all, but not tonight.
No.
Not tonight.
No.
Nick Claxton did not show up for this one. This was not his finest hour.
He's waiting to be traded.
Yes. He wants out.
He wants out. We're just saying. We're speculating.
Yeah. And it was like, he looked like he was moving pretty well tonight. And to me, that almost matters more than any kind of points that he puts up. But we have not seen any real ill effects from the number of games that he's playing lately. That's a great sign. He seems to trust. He had a nice dunk today, which he doesn't always attempt all that often.
And when he didn't take that one earlier, I said he should have dunked that.
Yeah, and then he came down a couple minutes later and dunked one. All good signs from Joel. It was not the toughest test he will face. But when we're talking about a guy who we spent so much time just wondering, could he be a regular player? Every time he comes out here, plays a game's worth of minutes, does so in a pretty compact schedule, I'm taking that as a big positive. And tonight he also played well, so that's great.
Yeah, look, we always say that it starts with Joel, right? And so when he comes out and he plays sloppy or he plays poorly and the team follows suit, we put it on him. Tonight, they certainly in the first few minutes, they didn't play well, but he set the tone in the first quarter. And this was a game we talked in pregame about if they give a serious professional effort, they are going to beat this team and they'll beat them easily. So it's on him to set that tone and to take advantage of the lack of size, right? Like, again, we don't need to throw parades. He went out there and he did what he's supposed to do. And that's coming into these games where it's almost unfair to even call them the Brooklyn Nets. This is like the Brooklyn G League Nets at this point with how many guys have been traded or are injured or out for whatever reason. D'Angelo Russell gets pulled from the game in the third quarter. But Joel, with the space to operate, said, I'm going to take that space, right? Whether that was coming out of the pick and rolls with Maxey and going right down Main Street or Nick Claxton's on him. All right, I'm going to put my hip or my butt into you and seal you off and get the layup or get fouled or do whatever. Also, notably, back-to-back games with double-digit rebounds for Joel, which that has been, I would say, as we're trying to evaluate his physicality, that's been one of my ways to be like, he's just not really there. When he's playing 30 plus minutes and he's getting 5 rebounds. I know some of it is like, well, they're long rebounds and Maxey's chasing a lot of stuff, but some of it is him not moving that well and not exerting that much effort on it. I think you've seen that tick up pretty noticeably in the last couple of games. I hope it's something that continues because for me individually, that's always been one of my biggest beefs with Joel is even when he puts up good rebounding numbers, I don't generally like his technique. I don't always like his approach. And I think he could be, even with, a lack of lift and his current issues physically, he could be like a 14, 15 rebound a game guy. And I don't think that would be a huge ask. It just takes a little bit of extra work. And so you're starting to see that. You're seeing him move a little bit better. And I think he's done a pretty good job of actually sealing guys off. And even when he's not getting the rebound, creating those opportunities that are easier for his teammates. So that's something that I have really liked from even in the Warriors game. I thought that was better from him. So trending upward, hoping that it continues. And if you keep getting the legs healthy and a good conditioning base, I think that'll start to improve and improve and improve.
Just his fourth double-double of the season.
Which is crazy.
Just his fourth of the season, back-to-back, though, as you pointed out. And I as you were laying all that out, I wanted to point out at one point, and I think you said it first, but we all saw where he had boxed out Nick Claxton or Day'Ron Sharper. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the big men. And then he pointed at the loose ball for his teammate to pick it up. So as you were explaining that, that's what we always say. You just handle your business and make sure that the team rebound is available for others to go in there and get it.
Yeah, and he had one that was falling down after he was blocking out, and then he just tipped it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you see that, and Jay said it was nice to see the dunk. Now, we're joking about the dunk, but we're not, because he's not dunking as much as he used to because of the uncomfortable nature of his knee, where he is. He doesn't trust it to lift like that. But the first pass that Maxey gave him in those first few minutes, clear runway where he should have dunked that. But maybe he wasn't loose yet. He didn't feel good enough to do that. He didn't. But I also noticed, tell me if you agree, Derek, is that when he's into the game, when he feels good about where the game is going, and he's in a good mood sometimes, if you will, and we can all kind of tell by his facial expressions and we can tell by his body language. And then the game started to get away from the Nets, that he has an extra pep in his step. So when he did get that opportunity for that dunk, he dunked it.
Yeah.
And when we talked about on the road trip, there was one right at the rim, and we said, dunk it. And he didn't. And
I was yelling at him because he went up and blocked one of those, whistle blew and someone took a jumper, and he goes, no. And I said,
yes,
if
tonight.
you can jump and go up and get that, you can go dunk, buddy.
Yeah. So
enough's enough.
So again, we've seen him enough where we know sometimes where when he's in a really good mood and there are some issues that he's ailing from whatever injury, but when he's feeling good, there's an extra pep in his step.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two things at play. I do think off of 2 feet, like flat-footed, he does not elevate the way that he previously did. I don't know if that's age. I don't know if that's probably more likely lower body injuries, but I don't think he elevates off of 2 feet, like I said, flat-footed, the way that he used to. I do think when he's like on the move and jumping off of 1 foot, like with the dunk today, I do think he can still elevate. I just think he second guesses himself on these a lot. And maybe sometimes when things are going well, then he stops second guessing himself, or he's just so, in such a good mood, or he's in the flow of the game and in the heat of the moment that he throws maybe that little bit of caution to the wind a little bit, which we'll see if that's a good thing or not. But I do think he still has some elevation, like I said, when he's on the move like that. And I do agree that when he gets in the heat of the moment, he can try it more often.
Yeah, and look, the left brace, the left knee and the left brace.
I am still mostly on the no dunking for Joel, though. I get worried every time he goes for it.
The 2 foot part is easy. Number one, he's 7'2". All right, so that's one. You don't have to go and Shaq crazy dunk.
No,
all you have to do is go up 2 feet.
Honestly, I want to see him dunk like Shaq, Lakers Shaq, do the drop step.
Yes, but my point is, he doesn't have to rip the rim down to two-hand dunk, because how many times do we see in the league today anyway for the last few years? It's just a drop-in dunk now. It's not even a touch the rim basically dunk. That's all he has to do. And on the 1 foot dunks, though, it's the left leg, left knee, the braces on that one. He is going to question that early of, do I have it in me right now to go up there and do that and then land the way that he should when you're right-handed finisher and you're jumping off of your left foot. That's going to go and that's going to be in your mind when you're trying to do that.
Sure, but with the 2 feet, like that impacts rebounding some, that impacts shot blocking some.
100%.
So I think that's still like it's
But when he did it on that, let me block the shot after the whistle, that was 2 feet, and he got up pretty high on that one to knock that one away. So dunk when it's necessary, of course. But we've also seen the finishing touches where it's been a soft finish around the rim, both hands, where that has worked for him too. Sometimes he can dunk. He was fantastic tonight to finish with game highs in both the points and the rebounds. And as we consistently see him out there, though, and it's encouraging to see, as Kyle pointed out, those double-digit rebounds, get those boards, man, because if you are not the same when it comes to the rebounding of snatching it the way that you used to, now you have to be more technique-driven to get those rebounds, to be smart about it, to create those team rebounds for others like he did tonight. Yes, it was the Brooklyn Nets and you were blowing them out, but you're also going to have to collect those rebounds against the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers when you have Karl Anthony Towns, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley there, and players like Josh Hart and swooping in and try to steal these rebounds and get those with two hands to make sure you secure that board for your teammates to get out in the open floor. And that's what you saw from him tonight, and that's what you want to see continue.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not asking for much, just 30 and 10 every night, 30 and 15.
I don't think you're asking a lot at all. I don't think you're asking a lot at all. So
6 assists tonight too, by the way.
Yeah.
It's always nice to see him.
So he's averaging.
We were joking like, oh, he's definitely getting his 30 at the end of the third quarter, and then he threw several passes in a row to open shooters. So.
And then he tried
bit of personal growth. Yeah, he did try to get
he tried to get Reese.
He tried to grift his way into 30.
He tried to get Reese Beekman, Virginia guard, to.
I can't believe you even know who it was that he tried to play grift ball
because
against.
It was a young guy that, of course, I'm gonna get this whistle here, and I'm gonna get to the line. I'm gonna get my 30 and sit down in the fourth quarter. He tried to get Reese, and the officials were like, "Nah, man, you're not getting that one tonight. That's not happening." So, yeah, the assist though, 3.7 is what he's averaging, and we know he's passing the ball a lot more. Sometimes he can get a little selfish and get into that scoring zone and not pass the basketball, but he was passing the rock around, and shots were being made.
Yeah, well. So, player of the game, Joel Embiid.
Player of the game, Joel Embiid, and 12 boards, 1 offensive board. He knocked down 2 threes in 3 attempts. So, nice to see from Joel in this one.
Yep.
I guess he needed that tech to wake him up early. And we were wondering about the second possible tech when they were looking at the Claxton foul. Like, they're going to throw this guy out? And Embiid did not get thrown out.
You guys know, I was cracking up during the game because Allah said, this better be a quick review or there's going to be another hostel. I was just sitting there like,
I'll tell you what,
you're
they had
speaking my
themselves a
language.
night.
Oh, I mean, Kate had the best part of the night was second half. The Sixers are rolling, right? And they're blowing them out. And Kate said, what was it? She said, Ben Simmons a late scratch tonight. That's not like him. And then there was probably 20 seconds of gameplay and they're running up and down. And I don't remember what the rest of the quote was, but she was talking about being on the bus with the team and Ben Simmons being a great video gamer. Yeah.
He is a great video game player.
Kate and Alla were having a grand old time. So they were picking up on the vibes I'm talking about, right? They're seeing the guys on the bench having a good time and just getting some zingers off.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. All right, we'll get to our super chats as well when we get back. We have a couple of things that we want to share when it comes to our moments of the strong and wrong that didn't even tell the guys about. But we have a strong and wrong moment.
We'll and a hometown kid I think we need to talk about. And we got
to talk about the hometown kid who had himself a night and is trying to mess with our the other fun part that we like to do about the show as well. I'm trying to take away from Ricky. Well, it's Ricky's fault, but we'll get that when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365.
I don't know if anyone has stepped outside recently. My apologies if you had, because it is cold outside, and cold is when viruses spread.
Too cold.
Sorry, ignore me.
Help protect yourself from pneumonia. Adults age 50 and older are now eligible for the vaccine. It was previously ages 65 plus, but the CDC lowered the recommendation. Millions of people get pneumonia every year. It's a respiratory illness, and fall and winter are a time when the germs that cause respiratory disease typically spread more in the community. So now is the time to get vaccinated and help yourself stay healthy. Some people who get pneumonia only have mild symptoms, but others experience serious complications. The vaccine is one of the best ways to help keep yourself healthy, and it's usually done at no cost with insurance. Getting vaccinated is easy. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. If you're unsure of what vaccines you may need, just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. Stop by your local Rite Aid today.
And guys, always have to tell you about
just gonna randomly start laughing now.
Well, listen, you said it's cold outside, and all I could think of was Dean Martin.
Oh.
Or Bing Crosby or whoever is singing outside. Baby, it's cold outside. It is cold out. It's not as cold, although sometimes it is, at the Wells Fargo Center, right? With the ice there. Yeah. The Sixers have a ton of great upcoming games, right? I mean, the Knicks game, the Thunder game, they're going to play Cleveland. They're going to play a lot of they're playing Boston, I think, probably twice in the next month at home, if I remember correctly. a lot of marquee games where you can see, even if you're not there to see the Sixers, you can see some of the great stars of the NBA over the next month, and Game Time is here to help you out. They have curated deals that make it easier to find the best price on great seats. You get the seat views before you buy. They're all in pricing, which I love talking about on here because I hate buying tickets to an event, whether that's a concert, a comedy show, a trip to the theater, or just a regular sporting event. And you have to go through the whole process. You think you've gotten tickets for a steal. And then at the end, the fees, the taxes, it all comes in. And all of a sudden, it's not so affordable. Game Time, you see everything right up front so that you know what the cost will be before you go through 15 different steps. And they cut down on the steps too. It's a painless, seamless process to get you to an event at the absolute lowest price possible. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Download a Game Time today. What time is it, Devon?
Game time.
Who?
It's game time for the boys today. They got it done. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers post-game show presented by Bet365. You know what you can also get with Game Time?
Seat to see hometown kid Justin Edwards.
That too. But
no, what?
The football team has a playoff home game coming up here shortly.
Oh, baby.
So you can get a ticket there with Game Time. And if you want to wear something in particular, because some of you are crazy and you go outside and you got the Scully on, but you want to wear a T-shirt or something like that. Got some new Eagles, stuff going on there. Look at the Barkley 2K shirt there on the left.
Whenever the Sixers do something cool, we'll get some new merch.
Oh, yeah,
but
no
until
doubt.
then.
Not yet. Not yet. And then you got the Bring It Back, which means bring that Lombardi trophy back to Philadelphia where it belongs. So make sure you go to our merchandise section on our allphly.com page. Go to the merch, hit the drop-down button, and hit, of course, the Philly side, and you get all the great merch there, like hoodie I have on, hat that Kyle has on, Derek's PHLY hoodie, and the collegiate letters now that we have there as well. So make sure you go to allphly.com, check out the merch section, and get yourself the new Eagles gear as we gear up for a Super Bowl run, maybe for the football team. Yes, we have to knock on wood for that one because thank you, Bree. That would be great.
I like how you're just getting on the guy on Blue Sky. Like, I don't control the outcome, but when it comes to Eagles, we're all knocking on wood.
I'm making sure I don't get blamed by association. It's not because I believe in that stuff.
All right, before we get to Justin Edwards and talk about him, let's get to the strong and wrong because it was strong and it was a defender that was wrong on the other end. Bree, cue it up. Let's get to the one of the best plays of the night, man. He seems like he does this once a week now. Yabusele, Paul George, drop off right to Yabusele over Nick Claxton for that finish.
And this is where we got
and that's where you get to see it right
Tarzan.
Here. You hang out and you exactly Joel right there at the end. He's so awkward, man.
It was the whole bench, too. It was all of them.
It was. It really was. But that was your strong and wrong play of the night. Fantastic pass from, number one, Paul George, to have the wherewithal to hit the great cut by Yabusele and then going up under control. Nick Claxton is a shot blocker. Shot blockers get dunked on. That's what they do. It happens. It is what it is. But that was a great play. And then as you said that, the Sixers had a great closeout tweet with the graphic of Joel doing, as we saw the video, they had another great graphic here, and Bree will throw this one up of Joel just simply doing the pounding of the chest, and Joel just simply, there you go. Look at him.
Having a good time.
Having a good time with the mask on and getting a win. So our play, again, our strong and wrong play of the night was brought to you by no one.
Oh, I thought you were you had a dramatic pause. I thought you got a sponsor for us.
No, not yet. Just always like to do no one. All right, let's get to Justin Edwards because that was one of the other surprises of the night. As you said, Derek, earlier, that it was a big surprise. Came off the bench. Not only did he come off the bench tonight and play 22 minutes and 52 seconds, he got to play some run in the first quarter where he came off the bench for the 76ers and played 3 minutes and 11 seconds. He did not score, but he got back in, Kyle, and he did some pretty good things, man. He knocked down some threes. He was active defensively while didn't necessarily show up in terms of a number of steals or anything. You could see the activity out there. He had one steal on the night. the activity was there for no, he did not have a steal or a block, but the activity was there. He had 5 boards, 1 assist to go along with the 11 points and knocking down some shots from the outside.
Yeah, and I think honestly the thing that jumped out about Edwards, part of this is because I've been watching Ricky Council play regular rotation minutes, is that he was just very composed, right? It was a lot of just slide into my role, be a catch and shoot guy, not going to play crazy and scattered and hectic. If there's a clear opportunity there, I feel like I have an advantage. I'll take it. If not, swing the ball, get it to Paul George, get it to Joel, get it to Tyrese. And that's the sort of rookie who's going to endear himself to teammates very quickly, right? You go out there on the floor and you're not trying to do anything off script. You stick to the game plan. You stick to who you are and got some shots to go down, right? So you build a little bit of confidence in a game where you're playing a team that isn't very good. And honestly, if it was not for the fact that the rest of this month, well, I guess save for this week, was filled with really good teams, I would say he's probably earned himself a look. And I would say you could definitely play him against like New Orleans. You could definitely play him against Washington.
Yeah.
And if you can start to, build him up a little bit here, that'd be a nice little surprise. I feel like they have not gotten tons from two-way guys relative to some other teams around the league. Like certainly there have been success stories here and there between Paul Reed was initially or was he a two-way?
No, he was two-way.
Paul Reed and
Shake
then Ricky
Milton.
last year, a little bit Shake, but it's not like Miami, for
Right.
example, where it's like every single year, it's like, oh my God, they pulled this guy out of
No,
nowhere.
the
and
Sixers
he's
two-way guys are like interesting for a half season, and then
Yeah.
you realize,
But look, he looks the part. I do think that he's the same as a lot of rookie defenders where he's been a little bit too overeager. He's gotten caught with his hands in the cookie jar a couple of times, but has generally been in position and attentive on that end of the floor. And that to me is the harder thing for a lot of rookies to do. So, if he can keep the hands back and play some decent defense, I think all he's got to do on the other end is make shots because he's just playing off of the stars and look good out there tonight.
I think the 18 points that he's averaging at the G League and having some big games as of late might have helped him a little bit too.
certainly helps with the confidence. And look,
Yeah.
I had questions, especially after the summer league, over how much he could really get to his spots off the dribble. But the shot looks pretty good.
Yeah.
He's making the right plays. He's not trying to do too much, and I'm not trying to single out anyone else who might be of a similar size and play that position, but he's not trying to do too much, and he's competing defensively. So, like, if I'm sitting here, do I necessarily have a ton of confidence? No, but I'm interested in, like, give him a shot, see if you can do it against a real opponent. Your other options aren't great. And that's how down I am on Ricky right now. It's as much, and again, Justin played well. It's as much I've lost almost all trust in Ricky, so why not give another guy a shot? Especially a guy who has good size, competes defensively. And I do think the shot is at least projectable. So, yeah, give him a shot. The other guys had his chance. He didn't make anything of it.
Yeah, and when Ricky doesn't, and of course you have Kelly Oubre and KJ Martin out, that opened up a lot of runway for you to get on the floor, especially if Ricky is not going to take advantage of those minutes. You do what you need to do. And he went out there in San Francisco against the Warriors. Coach called his number, and he went out there. We were surprised at that one, too, that he got his number called as early as he did. And then he comes back and he follows it up with this performance. And not just when he was in there with the regular guys, but even in the end, he kept playing as if he belonged. Not only, I'm in a good groove right here. I've already played like 20 minutes already. I'm going to really, show you some stuff here in these last 4 minutes with the other guys where I look like I belong once again. So that's what he did. And this is what we always ask of guys taking advantage of their opportunities. And he is doing so. He's doing so right now. That will give him an opportunity to have his number called next week with the 3-game homestand to then see how he plays in front of the home crowd against Washington and New Orleans, as you talked about. Maybe he has his number called against the Phoenix Suns, depending on how things go. But averaging 18 points, having some big games. I think he had a 30-point game with the G League team a little bit earlier, and like the last 2 weeks. When you do that and you get to the big club, that stuff will most certainly help you out as far as your confidence goes, as Derek pointed out. So good to see it. Good to see it. We all had our questions about him. didn't look quick enough in certain spots. His shot wasn't falling, known for his outside shooting. He wasn't shooting the ball all that well, but he extended himself pretty decently out there on the floor.
And he's been playing, as you pointed out during the game, he's been playing well in the G League and from what I have seen, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I watch like extensive blue coats, honestly, but he has played within a fairly defined role there. Like he's been a high volume shooter. He's scoring 20 points a game, getting up, I think, like 6-something threes a game, making like 37-ish% of those. So he's doing a lot of what he's doing here down at Delaware. And I think that's allowing him to just step into this role and you feel comfortable in it. You're not being asked to do anything and as we have talked so much about these small lineups where you're playing Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson, if you add another playable wing to the mix, you don't have to do things like that, right? You can just play one, and then all of a sudden it's Caleb and Yabu and Oubre and Edwards, and then one small guy, or it's certainly that's not the lineup you're going to put out there. You're going to have like Paul George, or you're going to have Joel, or one of those guys. But just so, please stop playing the miniature backcourts. I'm begging you, Nick. Please stop doing it. Whatever you have to do to avoid it.
They did have a couple minutes of Lowry and Reggie.
I mean, tonight it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Whatever. But against real teams, I just can't do it anymore.
Yep, absolutely. So good to see that from Justin Edwards. And we also got those Yabusele minutes who just played well. Didn't have the big scoring numbers, but had that big play. And in general, just played an overall good basketball game. All right, let's get to the Super Chats here as we have quite a few and get to where we start. And we start with Skunk Riley. All right. I bring you a happy belated the haiku. You go for it.
I bring you a happy belated New Year haiku, Skunk Riley says. This is titled Kyle. Kyle was sad Thursday. Sad Kyle rusts my tender soul. Does this win cheer Kyle? Yeah, I would say yes. Like I said earlier, I mean, I enjoyed the vibes on the bench in the post-game interview, and I don't like watching the bad basketball we saw at the end of the Kings game or the entire Warriors game. So this was much better.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get to Ernest Peterson here talking about Justin Edwards. Says, I think Justin Edwards could get a roster spot barring the deadline. Also, is there any point guards you think they could trade for? Dope show, guys. Thanks, Ern. Appreciate it as always. Derek, we already talked about the Justin Edwards part, but the point guard piece, trade deadline, I mean, still a month away, so we haven't really thought about it.
No, I haven't. Outside of ranting that they can't continue on for the next 6 weeks, I haven't really gone out and seen who would be available, but they need someone. This can't.
And we can look at like bad teams who might looking, but
we
haven't done that
so
yet.
Washington, you would see, is Brogdon expiring this year? Well, I guess you can't. That's too big of a number. And if he's a buyout, it's the same thing as Russell earlier.
New Orleans.
I mean, I think it'd be more of a combo playmaker in the Bogdanovich mold. Although, as you know, Derek can take his victory lap on the Hawks. The Hawks might be buyers at the
I mean,
the
I
deadline.
also had the Jimmy Butler trade. My bold predictions are
they do still have to
they
trade
do have
him,
to trade him.
which I'm not convinced that Riley. Anyway, we're doing that on Tuesday. But yeah, we will definitely get into some more detailed trade stuff in the weeks ahead.
And even just looking at the standings where you have these individually, single win teams right now, Toronto, Charlotte, Washington, you just talked about. Toronto is just the Bruce Brown thing. Maybe
so Charlotte, by the
Mitchell,
way, I wonder if Trey Mann would be available. Now he's not a point. He is more of a
super combo.
He's basically cosplaying Allen Iverson with the baggy shorts and the way jersey. He plays. But to me, it's less about you need a table setter and more about you need a guard that's not 100 years old who's got some off the dribble juice. So there are plenty of candidates who would fit that bill. It's just how much are they making and how much would it cost to get them?
Yep. All right, we appreciate that, though, and we appreciate you with the kind words about our show. Always love having fun with all of you. James Alexander says, that was a dominant performance on both sides.
Yes, it was. What was it? 22 turnovers for Brooklyn, I want to say.
22.
It was quite a few.
32 points off of their 22 turnovers for the Sixers.
That's That's all you can ask for. A lot of assists, a lot of steals and turnovers. Joel Embiid, Paul George sitting on the bench, yucking it up at the end of the game. That's all you want.
Needed. That's all you needed. Bernard McCoy. Oh, Mark Jackson. Sorry. I'm a diehard, but I feel like I haven't seen enough out of our star players to believe we are a playoff team. How far away are we from being contenders?
Give me more than 7 games with the 2 to make a judgment.
I mean, I believe they're a playoff team, but I do think right now I wouldn't say, oh yeah, they're in the contender circle, right? And I don't think they're all that close. Like, you can't call them that unless they play consistent games together.
Yeah, and you can't really it's one thing to have the talent. You still need to see how they gel on the court and how much Paul and Joel after the injury have left physically, and we haven't gotten a great chance to grasp that because they've finished 7 games together. I would certainly say, because we're going to have a lot of conversations here over the next couple of weeks. Should they be buyers? Should they be sellers? I don't think there's, barring more injuries, I don't think there's any world where they sell. I think they at least view their chance as, let's get these guys on the court and see whether they can make magic happen. Question is that chance high enough that you would be buyers? But look, there's very few perfect teams. There's the Celtics, there's the Cavs, and then there's a whole bunch of flawed people underneath them. If you're telling me that the Sixers can be in that group of flawed but talented teams, yeah, I think they can. And then when you get to the playoffs, you have to beat one team that's clearly better than you, and weird stuff happens over the course of a 7-game series, especially when you're talking about guys who have so much talent as the Sixers do. So would I classify them as contenders? No, they have to be healthy more than they have been, and they have to show us more than they have. But I don't think the talent level has changed. It's just a probability that you can count on that talent.
Yeah. And look, this month is going to be very telling because you can't hide from the schedule, right? You cannot hide. Once they get through this upcoming week, that is a gauntlet for most of the month going into February as well, right up to the trade deadline. So there is no way to hide how good you are, how healthy you are. The schedule is going to show you. And if they come out of this and look really good, we'll be sitting here and saying, hey, they have a puncher's chance. If not, we'll be sitting here with like we were in mid to late November saying this isn't real and this season is kind of going down the tubes.
No, and I do. Like when I look at that schedule, like I said before the game, it's great they have a couple games here that they can bank some wins, and it's great that they can be tested in the second half of January because they need both. They need to bank wins and move up the standings, and they need to be tested by really great teams to find out whether or not they should be aggressive at the deadline.
I'm looking at the schedule now, and it's
tough.
It really is crazy.
It's nasty.
What's annoying about it is the number of back-to-backs.
And they give you
too many back-to-backs.
They give you the Sixers app. They just give you the logo.
But
you don't even have to look at anything.
18 and 30.
Just to look.
It's not 18 games.
You just look at the logo, and you're like, damn.
We're going to be making that joke in 4 years, and people are going to be like, where did that come from?
Because I didn't even know it was a thing until we sat on release day and the NBA PR is like, hey, they've eliminated 18 games in 30-day stretches. It's like, oh.
It doesn't look like it here.
There should not be 5 sets of back-to-backs in a single month. It should not happen.
No. And just as I'm looking at it, as the guys are talking about the trade deadline shows that we might have, man, we only have about 6 shows, 2-3 o'clock shows this month because of how many games
we gotta plan
that
some
they
stuff
have.
out, brother.
Even in February,
we'll be
it's
ready.
Like game day, off day, game day, off day. Like it's
we
real
already have
packed.
Tuesday is the Jimmy Butler show, by the way. For anybody who wants to talk about Jimmy Butler, Tuesday afternoon, 3 o'clock, be there.
Right. So it's gonna be a busy month, but hey, it's always fun. Maybe they will have one of those winning records as we talk about, or just so used to seeing from this basketball team over the last few years, where they have one of these big time months where you look at a lopsided number like 15-4 a month for the 76ers. So we'll see how it all looks like, of course, as things play out. And before we get to our final super chat and then our roll call, we do want to say, make sure you go read at allphly.com Kyle's piece that he wrote tonight, your instant reaction to the game, the good, the bad, the ugly, allphly.com. Derek will have some stuff as well from these games. Glad to be back home. Then they're gonna get busy again because Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Is it Sunday or Saturday? I just had the schedule up. It's
2
Days
days
have no
ahead
meaning
kind
to
of
me
guy.
It's
anymore.
Sunday at Orlando. Another 6 o'clock game, by the way. Sunday, it's going to screw us up with the Eagles playoff game. You know they're going to play on a
Come
Sunday.
on, man.
It's just
We're going to be watching Sixers Magic while the Eagles are hosting a playoff game, and I'm going to really be questioning my decisions in life.
Man. But hey, make sure you hang out with us because our schedule this week is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So we'll be with you 4 games, 5 shows, 1 show that's going to be at 3 p.m. and that is going to be on Tuesday, where we talk about Jimmy Butler and whatever happened there against the Suns on Monday. All right, Super Chat. Bernard, if Maxey is still on this team at the end of the Embiid era, Justin is the only player on the current roster that will still be here. More youth.
Man,
Are you forgetting him?
there is nothing I love more than the strongest overreaction you can possibly give.
By the way,
after one good game
you're forgetting
from a
the
young
rookie of
player.
the year before he went down with an injury, Jared McCain, Bernard. What about Jared McCain? Did he leave? Did he sign elsewhere?
Listen, Bernard, I love the energy. I'm not convinced Justin Edwards will be on the team in a month, let alone whenever the era ends. But I love the positivity. I love it. It's good for the soul, these games, right? Good for the soul.
Oh, one more super chat coming in hot, late. Hot. James Alexander III getting into the fields for Kyle in the Denver market.
Oh, no.
Michael Porter
Oh,
Jr.
no.
would be a great fit.
Not my guy. I'm not
He's
an
not my
MPJ
guy, but he
fan.
also makes like $35 million.
Yeah,
So the only pathway.
You basically trade Maxey. That's how you
Or
would do it.
Paul
Or
George.
Paul George.
Paul
but
George. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it ain't happening.
Nah.
Nor should it.
No, should it? Nah. But thanks for the super chat, Jay. 2 of them. We appreciate that. All right. We're at our limit here tonight. We got to roll out of here.
We thought it was going to be a short show.
Yeah,
tonight.
we got a
We're
lot in.
It's
doing
never
going
a short
overtime.
show.
Didn't even talk
Talking
about
with you,
Tyrese
two.
Maxey coasting tonight. Just, getting
doing a little stat padding
He
at the
needed
end
a
of
break.
a blowout.
He
you know?
needed a break. He's tired. He needed a break. All right, let's get to our world famous. We're back in the studio, man. Roll call.
Roll call is right. Thank you, everybody, for checking in. Certainly, number one, Bernard checking in.
What up, Nard?
The number one Justin Edwards super fan. I'm not even sure Justin Edwards' family believes that he'll be here.
If you see
at the end of this
anybody at the
era.
game on Monday with a 19 jersey,
It's
Bernard.
Bernard. He's in the house. Thank you, Bernard, and thank you to everybody else. Shout out to Money Mar.
What up, Mar?
To Nooms for 9.
Oh.
To Jeannie. To
Hey,
Marcus
Jeannie.
Blackstock hanging out with us.
What up, Mark?
Prophet 1. Our guy Al, the 2-minute warning.
What up, Al?
You better love somebody.
Love somebody.
Eugene
love somebody.
Ross
Love
hanging
somebody. Gene is the player of the game.
Ooh. X-Man. Martian
What up,
Lynch,
X?
who was trying to bait me into talking about that terrible new Drake song that they already took off of YouTube.
And replaced it with Jello.
Sir
Leangelo.
Shmooey. Sir Shmooey in the
Taking
building.
over.
Igavini in the building. 3-time in the building. Oh, my goodness. James Alexander with a couple of super chats
Thank you,
tonight.
James. What up, Jay?
PHLY guy, who I believe showed up with his non-burner account on here tonight. I will not reveal his government name, but thank you, PHLY guy. He gave himself up. So if he wants to share his name, that's all on him. T. Harris, thank you for coming through.
What up, 12?
K. Red. Hey, my girl Winona.
Nona.
Also here as always. Ernest Peterson also had a super chat tonight. Thank you to Ernest. Mark Jackson with a super chat. Skunk Riley wrote me a beautiful haiku. So thank you to you, my friend, for being the king or queen, whatever your title you want, of the haikus of PHLY. Brandon Downer hanging out with us tonight. Bo Jensen
Bo. What up, Bo?
hanging out
Not
with us
Bo
tonight.
Wolf. You see Bo Wolf
Either
tomorrow.
Ozwear or Ozwear. I'll let you decide. I'll say Oz.
Oz. Okay.
Maybe Ounceware.
Interesting.
OZ, the abbreviation.
Yeah.
Same James, Bootzilla.
Boots.
Thank you to everybody for being here.
What up, Jay?
Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live, as it sounds like Derek nearly broke the bell. And if you hit the thumbs up button, it helps us out in the algorithm, but it also says, thank you, super producer Bree, for being here always. Oh, shout out to Prophet 1.
What up,
as well.
Prophet?
Prophet is in the building. Say thank you to Bree with a thumbs up on the way out. We will be back Monday for the Phoenix game.
Yes.
It'll be Devon and
Rich.
I think it'll be Rich.
Should be
Yeah.
Rich, yeah.
Devon and Rich for Monday. Derek and I will be in the arena. First game I've attended, and it feels
A
like
long
17
time,
years.
yes.
So see you guys
Bundle
then.
up because it's going to be cold and maybe some weather there as well. So don't want that. All right, our post-game show is always brought to you by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code PHLY365 when you do sign up. And whenever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, you must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, for Derek, Bree, and Kyle, we'll be back with you on Monday, 6:30, Suns Sixers at 7. We got the pregame for you on Monday. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the Birds tomorrow. Hey, Saquon couldn't get the,
Don't get me started. Good game.
My bad.
Let's go eat.
Let's go get some food. Good night, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.